Yeah. Very good morning to all of you. I think we are running almost an hour late, but it doesn't matter. People may join us. Please send messages to your colleagues, classmates, students, okay, to come as quickly as possible. Say that, they'll be missing an opportunity to listen to Professor Nageshwar, okay? For some of us, I think he needs no introduction. Professor Nageshwar has been working in this department of journalism for the past 30 years. I think we all spent almost 3 decades in the department. Okay. Where other than his contribution to the department, all of us know that he is a very popular YouTuber. Okay, he's a political analyst. Okay, commenting on diverse issues. He's a very popular figure on national and regional channels. Okay, his YouTube channel, I think, has a subscription of over 7 to 8 lakhs, which is no mean achievement, honestly. Okay, if you permit me to say, he is one of the successful digital entrepreneur. Okay, and he keeps telling us how he keeps the audience engaged through his talks. Okay, picking up macro issues and even micro issues. Okay, gauging the pulse of the people, and sometimes he narrates that ee video betagane ardha gantalo inni views vachinayana ani antadu. Ante that is something. It is honestly no mean achievement. Okay, we are privileged to have him here. Okay, I think when I requested him, and because he's a part of the department, I thought we should enjoy the benefit of his scholarship. Okay, the last time when we had this workshop for journalists, Professor Lakshma Reddy Garu wanted him to be here, but I don't know, for some reason we missed him then. But journalists are all matured people, right? So sinking the message into their heads is slightly difficult, but journalism students, because you are about to start your career, okay? He has chosen a very different topic, Last night he shared it with me. Science and anti-science, okay? What not to do or what to do. I think this is something which he is going to speak to us. It's a different perspective, okay? It will be a different perspective. The next speaker will be Sneha Varghese, okay? I'll tell about her when she comes in. But thank you very much, Professor Nageshwar, for accepting our invitation on behalf of the National Institute of Technology, Warangal, on behalf of Professor Lakshma Reddy Garu, Professor Ramchandra Garu. I think they have been patiently waiting, though it has been delayed. Okay? Thank you very much. With these few words, I'll stop here. Okay.
Yeah, Professor Stevenson, Professor Ramchandra Garu, Professor Lakshma Reddy Garu, and friends. Well, I think yesterday our friends SOWMYA and Sudhakar Reddy have talked to you on the techniques of reporting science, how science should be communicated and can be communicated to the popular mass media. The intricacies of science, journalism, etc., etc. And the next speaker, so she will speak on aspects that are essentially related to skills of science reporting. But I always believe that skill alone is not enough. why skill alone is not enough, then what do you need more? We have assuming that we have two reporters. One has reported on both are news reports only. A report on the pathetic plight of the informal workers who are deprived of rights, who are disenfranchised, who are disempowered. On the other side, there is a reporter who filed a report on the dazzling world of fashion, dazzling world of glamour. If you need to write these two kinds of reports, I'm sure both require enormous skill to write. But the skill alone doesn't suffice. The question comes here what to write about. I'm not against writing on the dazzling world of fashion and glamour, but I certainly believe that reporting on the inhuman conditions the unorganized workers are living in is perhaps more socially responsible than reporting on the glamour show. So, what is behind these two kinds of reporting? So, there is an idea. So, the ideas each individual represent determine and define the context of communication. Suppose you're talking about a business management. Some other day I was speaking to business management students. So somebody is engaged in a liquor business and has developed the agility and acumen to ensure that the liquor sales will increase rapidly in next 1 year. There is another entrepreneur who produced low-cost water purifying devices and ensured a market for that. Both require the business skill. There's no dispute about it. But the first business skill is dangerous to society, detrimental to society. It makes more people drink liquor. Well, it may be beneficial to the governments, but certainly disastrous for society. The second business idea, that a purified water at a very low cost, at a time when a liter of water bottle perhaps costs more than a liter of milk in many places. So I think the second idea is a socially useful idea. So both are businesses, but there is a fine difference between the two businesses in terms of their impact on society. I'll give you a third example. A nuclear scientist who creates more efficient system of producing power, or who produces nuclear isotopes that are used in medicine, and a nuclear scientist who creates a devastating nuclear bomb. Both require scientific know-how, but both do not have an equal impact on society. So there comes the difference between skill and the framework of ideas. So the skill and the framework of ideas are equally important. So if we just have the skill, a police requires skills and a thief also requires skill. Sometimes a thief requires much better the skills than police also. Recently, couple of years back, the police have caught a thief. The thief is specialized in stealing hard disk in computers. So he gets into an office room, opens the computer and takes away the hard disk, takes away the all valuable components of a computer. Similarly, he gets into a computer shop and he takes away the valuable components of the computer. Police caught him. They asked him, what did you steal so far? He said, sir, can I have an access to computer? The police was surprised. The thief said, I want an access to computer, sir. There's an Excel sheet in which I have been updated. So the type of item stolen, the place where it is stolen, the name of the shop, the possible price of it. He has created an Excel sheet of everything. So, very intelligent thief, am I right? Who has a computer literacy. Many professors may not have computer literacy. So, the police could not speak anything. Should they appreciate his ability? I'm sure if he's an intelligent police, perhaps appoint him as a computer operator in the police department. So, hope he will not steal the devices again. So, therefore, skill, talent alone do not suffice. You require an ideas framework in which you operate. So, as a journalist, we just not sufficient to have skills. Skills are very, very important. So, I am a very, very socially responsible fellow, but I don't know how to communicate. Nobody understands what I am. So, therefore, the point I want to make, the why we are now speaking on this subject, essentially to provide a framework of ideas in which a science reporter or a science journalist has to operate, has to contextualize the message one gives. So there is a message, there is a medium, there are audiences, and which kind of audiences do you really aim at? And there is also an ideas framework in which we need to operate. Then let me come into the topic then. I told you what is the difference between my friends Somshekar, Sudhakar Reddy, and next Neha will speak, and the point I am speaking. Then the next question comes is, I'll give you certain examples to suggest where do I really take off. During the COVID time, we have heard when the first time the COVID struck, still the cases were not so many reported in India. What was the talk in Indian media, Indian social media, Indian digital ecosystem? All kinds of explanations are given that COVID pandemic will not eat India. What are the kind of things? India is a land where rishis were born. India is such a great country, nothing will happen to us. We have a divine blessing, nothing will happen. We have a mystic abilities, nothing will happen. And there are certain explanations like we are already exposed to several viruses, so we have developed a lot of immunity. Our food habit systems are so different that we will not get contracted with the virus. We have a different sanskar. We don't shake hands, we say namaste. So therefore, virus will also say namaste and go. And all kinds, we have enough sunlight, so the virus will burn down in the sunlight. We have a tropical climate, the virus will not grow. It only grows in the winter. And any number of explanations were given, still the virus did not listen to those explanations. But what is the kind of price which we have paid for this kind of hypocrisy, which we have all along been showing? Then came the second wave. The second wave struck us during April, May. In March, early March, the National Consortium of Laboratories, which was actually developing the genomic analysis of the viruses, has given to the authorities a clear indication that a new variant, which is more virulent, not only in terms of spread, but also in terms of its ability to harm, is already under circulation. So this was the first week of March 2021. This was the indication given by the scientific community in front of the authorities concerned. But on March 7th, you have the health minister stating that we have already conquered virus. Already meetings to congratulate the Prime Minister for successfully winning over the pandemic. And due to this political hubris, what happened? We have conducted election rallies in West Bengal with lakhs and lakhs of people participating. We have conducted Kumbh Mela on the pretext and premise that the water of Ganges had the power to kill the virus also. So, as a result, we have a devastating second wave. I'm sure every one of us have an experience of losing somebody whom we know. At least we lost our esteemed colleague Balaswamy during the same wave, second wave, a professor in my own department. So a political hubris, independent of the science, National Consortium of the laboratories which actually looking at a genomic analysis was warning about circulation of a new portentous virus. But still, we did not take it seriously. Not only so, we had one of the worst second waves. And what are the other two countries who had this, which have experienced a devastating pandemic? The first one is the United States of America. Can anybody say that the USA is not scientifically equipped? It is the land of innovation. It is the land where leaps of imagination combined with feats of engineering to create a Silicon Valley. It is the land where devices and products and services are created which consumers did not ever knew that they needed them also. Such a land of innovations crumbled to the devastating pandemic. A country that is the world leader in technology, a country that is the world leader in innovation, it crumbled because we had a president called Donald Trump who thinks that the hydroxychloroquine can cure pandemic. We had a president who threatens India. If you don't supply HCQ, I'll take care of you. We had a president who is anti-mask. We had anti-vaccine presidents, anti-maskers, anti-vaxxers. And the third country is the Brazil. Brazil, led by Bolsonaro, said that this nonsense, nothing, nothing, pandemic, nothing. And the Brazil is a country where lakhs of people died. Interestingly, the other two leaders were defeated. Nothing happened in India for a different reason, which is not part of the science journalism workshop. Perhaps it will be part of political journalism workshop. So what I am telling is, what is the reason for America to crumble? Just think about it. Then same during the COVID, we have witnessed another spectacle. When people are dying of virus, when people are scared of pandemic, what did we do? We did not produce enough PPE kits. We did not produce drugs. We did not expand the healthcare, but we started clapping. We started beating plates with glasses. I am nothing against them. We started lighting lamps. I am nothing against. In fact, I also participated in the lighting of the lamp. But we are asked to switch off the lights to lighten this. Indian culture doesn't believe in switching off the lights. But we did it. As far as this is symbolism, nothing wrong. I am not against symbolism. On a day of birth, on birthday, we cut the cake. Why should we cut the cake as if we cut the human beings? So we cut the cake to celebrate. We use the candles also. Well, symbolism is not a problem. But what was the rumor industry? What was the fake information industry that has lapped up this opportunity? And this industry says NASA has identified the vibrations of sound emanating from the crores of Indians clapping and crores of Indians being plates with glasses and the virus dying. And we had an industry ecosystem, a fake information industry ecosystem, campaigning that because we have lighted the lamps, the light waves emanating from those lamps were killing the virus across India. And this ecosystem is dangerous. I'm not against lighting the lamp, but I also told you I myself did it because I don't want to miss this patriotic bus. I don't want to be named as anti-Indian. But I do not agree with this ecosystem which breeds superstitions. Why it breeds superstitions, I will tell you. Two Stanford scholars have written a book, Agnotology, Making and Unmaking of Ignorance. Making ignorance itself is a political project. There is a deliberate attempt to create ignorance because it serves certain vested interests. It deprives the Indian modern human being of logical reasoning. Once you develop an unscientific approach, once you develop a faith-based approach to looking around the world, and once you discard evidence-based approach to knowing about the things, you'll start believing the statements that rupee has not fallen, dollar has climbed. So Newton's law of gravitation, apple has not fallen, earth has gone up. So we start believing this also. So there is a deliberate attempt to ensure that the people do not look at the evidence to arrive at a conclusion. If somebody asked me, will rupee fall still? I will start collecting evidence that impacts the value of rupee. What are the domestic factors? What are the international factors? What is trade deficit? What is current account deficit? What is the flow, capital flow into the country, outside the country? What is the fiscal deficit? What is the NRI investment? What is foreign direct investment? How much of portfolio capital is emerging? What is the trend of interest rate hikes that is happening? I start collecting evidence, empirical evidence, on a whole lot of factors that determine my prediction about the possible value of rupee in the coming months. This is science. Many people think that science is only physics, chemistry, and economics. Physics, chemistry, and biology. Any systematic study of anything is called science. Economics is also economic science. That is the reason politics is political science. So the reason why, if I want to understand a value of rupee, trends in the value of rupee, I will collect the empirical evidence to arrive at a conclusion on the question before me, that will the rupee fall further or will the rupee stabilize? But if I'm driven by faith, what will I do? This is India. India is a great country. Mother India is a very powerful nation. Nothing can happen to Indian rupee. So this is faith. So the problem, the conflict between faith and evidence. Science believes in evidence. Science doesn't believe in faith. But will science fight with faith? Well, I won't fight with faith as long as faith remains with you. I don't fight with faith as long as faith is part of your private life. But the problem comes is when the faith intervenes into the public life. What is the difference between faith in a private life and faith intervening in public life? I am an avowed Hindu. I live as per Veda. I am a Sanatan Hindu. But when I am a judge, when I go to court, will I deliver judgments based on the Sanatan Dharma or will I deliver judgment based on the Constitution of India? I am an avowed Muslim. I live and swear by Quran. But when I go to I am a judge. When I go to the court, I deliver judgment not based on Shariat law, but I deliver judgment based on the Constitution of India. Similarly, I am an avowed Christian. I go by Bible, but I don't give biblical judgments. but I give judgment based on the Constitution of India. So I don't have a quarrel with faith determining your personal life, but I have a worry if the faith starts impacting the public life. So the science communicators, a warrior chooses his battlefield. If we see Mahabharata films, epic films, suddenly war begins. The fellow is riding on a horse, fights with the fellow riding on the horse. The fellow is fighting on chariot, goes to the fellow who is fighting on the chariot. It's not the other way around. So as the soldier, as the warrior defines his battlefield, a science journalist has to determine his battlefield. So science journalist, a truly scientific conscious journalist, there's a difference between science journalist and scientifically conscious journalist. So science journalism is essentially reporting science, but scientific journalist is someone who thinks in a scientific sense, who has a scientific consciousness, a spirit of scientific inquiry that believes in the method of science. The essence, the method of science is evidence-based. I don't go by my faith or perception, but I go by evidence. So when I define my topic, science, anti-science, so a journalist is truly reporting science when he reports based on evidence. A journalist who is not reporting anti-science, peddling anti-science, but when you don't care for evidence, but you go by faith and perception. So this is the fundamental difference. So between science and anti-science. So Jayant Vishnu Narlekar, a very famous astronomer, gave an interesting example. He was a professor at Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics. So Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics. So he sent a request letter to the telephone department to include the telephone number of his office in the directory. This was the time when telephone directories in a very bulky form used to be prepared. Now it's not done, that's a different story. So the telephone department obliged and published it. But published as follows: Inter-University Center for Astrology and Astrophysics. So he says astrology is more popular than astronomy. So that is the problem with our country, where in our country, the biggest challenge today is the Indian mind is thought to be controlled by faith, by perception, rather than evidence and reality. So the biggest responsibility of a journalist is to fight this dichotomy. So go by evidence, go by reality, not by faith, not by perception. Even if you have a faith, put it to the test. Even if you have a perception, put it to the test. People have perceptions. That's the reason people have subjective interpretations of things. If you ask who will win in Munugodu, well, all exit polls are finding it a trend. But if you ask 10 people, perhaps 4 will tell this party will win. 6 journalists, if 10 journalists have toured Munugod, 3 journalists may say so-and-so party will win. 7 journalists may tell so-and-so party will win. When the reality is the same. For all the 10 journalists, the reality is the same. But why 3 people have one opinion, 4 people one opinion, 6 people another opinion? Because we don't look at objective reality, but we form subjective opinions. I think it is called Rashomon effect, I think. So we all are victims of this Rashomon effect. So we have this kind of a subjective. It is but when you look at a social phenomenon, It is possible to have a subjective effect because social phenomenon cannot be so easily quantified. Social phenomenon cannot be so tested in a laboratory, but a scientific phenomenon can be tested in the laboratory. So we have Indian Science Congress where Nobel laureates converge, talking about the plastic surgery and Lord Ganesha. Well, I have no objection if somebody believes in something. I also believe. I also did my Ganesh Puja along with my wife at home because my wife is a believer and this puja can only be done by her husband. I don't want to give that privilege to anybody else. So I'm very, very clear on that in my mind. So when my wife cannot perform because as per the puja, only the husband should perform. So the privilege of husband should not go to anybody else. So the problem here is absolutely no problem. It's a faith, nothing wrong. As long as you derive the moral code of conduct from religion, as long as you derive the best ways of living a life in a human civilization, the religion is welcome. But when you start deriving all kinds of beliefs which have no faith, then that becomes a challenge. That becomes a challenge. And a human being doesn't do that also in reality. When somebody gets a cardiac attack, he will immediately rush to the doctor. I'm sure he will not believe on faith. My heart, గుండెలు తీసిన బంటు నేను నా గుండెకి ఏమవుతుంది అని ఉంటాడు ఇంట్లోనే. నెవర్. ఏ గుండెలు తీసిన బంట అయినా గోస్ టు ఏ గుండెను చూసే డాక్టర్కు. రైట్. యూ డోంట్ గో బై ఫేత్. నా గుండెకి ఎవడ ఏమవుతుందయ్యా మామూలుగా నేను నా గుండె ఎంత స్ట్రెంత్. వెల్, ఈవెన్ ఇఫ్ హీ హ్యాస్ ఎ బిలీఫ్ that his heart weighs 100 tons, then he still goes to the cardiologist because that is the life. He doesn't want to take a chance. So the first thing is science, anti-science. What media should do is media should uphold science. Media should uphold the value of science. Media should uphold the nature of science. The science is validated. Science doesn't believe unless it is validated by a method of science. So this is the first point which I want to tell you as a young journalist, that start thinking in a scientific manner when you report science. I have seen many great scientists who are men and women of science but do not think in a scientific manner. You have a very ordinary human being who doesn't know the alphabets of science but thinks in a very scientific manner. So ultimately, science is not just a privilege of the literate. Science is not the privilege of the educated. A fellow who is a very impoverished person finds it extremely difficult to make both ends meet. Suffering from economic hardship throughout the life, faces the life with confidence and courage. But a brilliant student who got into the India's premier IIT decide if he fails in a unit test. So what is the problem here? So that the first thing is, it is a responsibility of a journalist to fight this ecosystem of anti-science ecosystem, which is thriving at the behest of the social and political forces who have vested interest in substantiating, in strengthening this anti-science ecosystem. Then the second point is, what is the universal value of science? The universal value of science. Science is a cumulative experience of humans. Who has invented the shirt? Who has invented this button? Who has invented this belt? Who has invented the point? Who has invented this table? Who has invented the room which are living in? Do we know them? But the problem is, if there are 11,000 genes 12,000 genes in maize. The maize is a creation of nature, and maize, the variety of maize which we are using is a result of the cumulative wisdom and experience of generations of farmers. But one company comes, manipulates a gene in it, calls it a pest-resisting gene, and markets it and tries to appropriate the benefits of that maize. So who should have the intellectual property of the 11,999 genes that form part of the maize? I'm giving in a very simple manner, may not be exactly scientific, and if I'm wrong, NIT professor should correct me. So the one gene who has manipulated one gene says, I will appropriate the benefits of science. So if somebody who has discovered zero wanted to appropriate the zero, can we imagine computer science today? If somebody who has invented the decimal system, if somebody who has invented numbers wanted to appropriate that knowledge, can we imagine modern mathematics? So it went when a mathematician, when a case came to Supreme Court of United States, it was argued that the patent-mathematical equations will make mathematicians richer, but mathematics poorer. So today the problem is companies that own science are becoming richer, where the science is becoming poorer, and millions and millions of people are deprived of the benefits of science. I'll tell you the example in economics. Do you know which area of economy flourished during the COVID? Do you know which sector of the industry got maximum profits during the COVID pandemic? It is the pharma sector. Well, can pharma sector become the most profitable sector of the industry when entire human civilization was reeling under the pandemic? What does it mean? What is the political economy of this? Can a journalist keep quiet when such a kind of a naked political economy is unraveled before you and me? Can we keep quiet? So therefore, the point which I want to make is, journalists should not look at science from a pure physical and natural science formats. So the scientist may look at, in fact, scientists should also not look at. Science doesn't operate in a socio-political vacuum. Science doesn't operate in a socio-political vacuum. Especially, science doesn't operate in an economic vacuum. Science, especially at a time when it is high investment driven scientific research. It is not just a human mind that invents science. It is a lot of capital that defines the scientific research. So therefore, the problem comes is the very value of science is universality. The very value of science is ensuring that people believe that the benefits of science should be distributed in character. People like us were part of a movement, people science movement, that firmly believed that the science should be for social justice. Science should be for self-reliance. Science should be for the social advancement of mankind rather than confinement of the productive forces. So then the question comes is, where do you stand in this? When there is a conflict in the world of science, there are two forces conflicting with each other in a world of science. A force trying to appropriate the benefits of science, and a force that wants to liberate science from the clutches of the world of finance, the world of economics, the world of profits, which wants to put profits over the people. As a journalist, you have to choose your ally. I believe, as a journalist, I choose my ally clearly. I am not in favor of the world of finance that tries to own and appropriate science, but I want to be a custodian of masses who wants to liberate, extricate science to make it a mass goods, to make it accessible to the masses of the world. Then you can ask me a question. Sir, if somebody who innovates, should he not be benefited? Somebody who innovates at a great cost, somebody who innovates with a great effort, somebody who innovates with his intellectual property, should he not benefit? Certainly he should benefit. There's no dispute about it. I'm not telling that the pharma companies should not get profits. If they don't get profit, who will invest? And they invest in a riskier science. Vaccine science is a very riskier science. There's no guarantee of profits. But my question is, there should be a balance between the need to incentivize the innovator and need to diffuse the benefits of innovation. So we need to strike a balance between the need to incentivize the innovator and need to distribute the benefits of innovation, especially because scientific research is always cumulative in character. It doesn't operate as if sudden. So the second question is, what is your class bias in understanding science? I'm quoting World Bank. World Bank cannot be accused of egalitarianism. The World Bank, in its report, Knowledge-Based Global Societies, said more research is done on inventing a slow-ripe, beautiful-looking tomato rather than nutritious wheat. So more research is being done on discovering slow-ripe, beautiful-looking tomato than the nutritious wheat. More research is done on cosmetics rather than a cure for diarrhea. So this is the problem. Both are knowledge. As I told at the beginning, both are knowledge. The cure for diarrhea is also knowledge, and developing new varieties of cosmetics is also knowledge. 10 years back, we never heard Magavarike Kavalsina vanishing cream. Did we have it? There was only one vanishing cream. There are no men specific. I'm sure after 10 years will come, transgenders create a vanishing cream. It will come because they have started asserting their rights. So why? Because cosmetics is inventing. I am not against innovations in cosmetics, but should a cure for diarrhea get priority in research over cosmetic research? Research in cosmetics, not cosmetic research. So the question comes here is, that is the difference between a private knowledge and a public knowledge. So knowledge in a public sphere, public knowledge versus private knowledge. So we need to assess when you go out to report, when you go out to a scientific institution for reporting, you should ask a fundamental question. Does this knowledge solve the problems of mankind? Does this knowledge contribute to the profit maximization? Does this knowledge harm the society at large? Does this knowledge advance the humankind? So when you ask this question, you will perhaps report. That's the reason I started my lecture by giving a comparison, creating a new variety of liquor and a business strategy that can market liquor and a business strategy that markets water purifying device are not the same forms of knowledge. So you cannot be value neutral in understanding the uses of science. You should have a value system, whether you have a value system in favor of profits or a value system in favor of people. So are you for people? Are you for profits? Are you for maximizing knowledge for human advancement? Or are you for knowledge for profit maximization? Well, I am still not against profits. I strongly believe that market forces are required to create a competitive economy. Market forces are required to create a competitive society. But I am only against market fundamentalism that puts profits over people. So as a science journalist, when you go out to report a scientific innovation, you should ask these fundamental questions to yourself in terms of reporting, in terms of editorial judgment. What kind of priority I should give if I am a sub-editor, if I am an editor in a newspaper office, if I am a reporter in a newsroom. Should I give priority to a public knowledge? Should I give priority to the private knowledge? Should I give priority that to a scientific innovation that maximizes profit? Should I give priority to a scientific innovation that improves the living conditions of the people? Invention of a pressure cooker, invention of a gas stove, invention of a grinder, a mixie has revolutionized the life of women in society. I still remember how my mother used to struggle to produce idli and dosha. I still remember how my mother used to struggle to cook food early in the morning. And today, I find a sense of relief and gratitude to those who created these devices that has actually liberated average women from the burden of household work and that ensured women participation in the labor force. So that is the power of technology. That is the power of science. The science, that is the power of knowledge. So we have to ensure all these fundamental questions on the political economy of science. Then the third part I want to tell you is, science is today a double-edged science. There is a dual science that is emerging. If you look at the history of human civilization, science was essentially was contributing to the human advancement. What made these Homo sapiens, what made human beings so unique in the world of nature? We are not alone in this world of nature. We are part of millions and billions of species that inherit nature, that are part of the nature. Am I right? All of us know that. But what makes human beings unique compared to the species? We are unique from a microorganism. We are unique from a tiger. We are unique from an elephant. We are unique from a bird that gives wonderful music. We are unique from many species. But in this great nature, every species has a cause and effect to live in this. That is that is the balance of nature. Human beings alone have acquired this ability to destroy this balance in nature. In our insatiable appetite and greed for resources, and in our insatiable appetite to know the mysteries of nature, we are trying to encroach upon the nature. We call this a climate change crisis today. And nature is taking revenge on us. So what made human beings unique? Every species makes some noise. At least I'm sure, if I'm wrong, many species make noise. I think every species, some sounds we may hear, we may not hear. But humans alone could develop this noise into voice and voice into language. So we have a language. I don't know. Animals may also have their language. But we have at least developed this language. Every species has an ability to live in coexistence. Look at ants. They you find a stream of ants going as if there is an election meeting in Munugod. They go in a queue. We don't know why are they going. All the dogs will assemble at a place in our street, as if they have a dogs conference. Somebody sponsored it. All the cattle come to home together. Why? The species have a tendency to coexist. The problem is the great thing is humans have developed this art of coexisting into society. And we are now trying to vitiate and dismantle this wonderful art of coexistence with intolerance, with divisiveness. We are going against a character which made humans unique. It made humans unique, this character. Unfortunately, we are trying to destroy that character itself. We are trying to destroy the diversity itself, which is antithesis to the human character nature. So how did this happen? Humans alone have this logical thinking ability. You take a pen and give it to tiger. Can the tiger write it? Give a sword to lion. Can a lion use it? Why? Humans alone have this wonderful ability to coordinate between brain and other organs of the human body. So all this is science only. All this is science. So all this is science, is not something else. It may be a primitive science. But today we are living in a world where science has a dual character. Transplantation of human organs is a wonderful science that's giving new lease of life to humans. But the transplantation science is used for human trafficking of human organs. So science, nuclear science can produce power, but it can also produce a devastating nuclear bomb. So, look at any sphere of science today, any branch of science today. Biology gives us understanding of life, but today biology is used to create biological warfare. So therefore, information technology is a wonderful science, but it's today used to morph into the privacy. So digital technology is a wonderful science, but it is creating a fake information ecosystem. So what does it mean? It simply means that science has acquired a dual character. So therefore, the progress of science is not determined by the inherent character of science alone. The path of science is not defined by the inherent character of science alone, but the path of science is increasingly defined by the humans who manage science. So as a journalist, we need to be conscious, not just of the inherent character of the science, not just about the pathways of science, but we should be cautious about the managers of science, the forces that determine the trajectory of science. The human resource, not just the man and the woman, but the entire ecosystem of power, entire ecosystem of authority, entire ecosystem of socio-political forces that define the trajectory of science. So as a journalist, you should be meticulous in understanding the pathways of science. Therefore, you will end up a skilled journalist. That is the fundamental difference between an industrial training institute or a polytechnic on one side and a university on the other side. Many don't understand. If we need to teach journalism, we need not teach journalism in a university. We can teach journalism in a polytechnic also. We can teach journalism in an industrial training institute also, where if you know the skill, it is enough. But we teach journalism at the university only because you not only acquire skills, you acquire knowledge, you acquire and expose to ideas that contextualize the skill ecosystem. That was the reason why I wanted to talk about the ideas that govern the trajectory of science. I hope I have not taken much time. Thank you very much for your patient hearing.
ఫ్రెండ్స్, ఇంతకుముందు బిగినింగ్లో స్టీవెన్ సార్ గారు చెప్పినట్టుగా యు నో హౌ నాగేష్ సార్ ఈస్ గోయింగ్ టు కీప్ us స్పెల్ బౌండ్. ఆయన తెలుగులో అయినా సరే ఇంగ్లీష్లో అయినా సరే అనర్గళంగా మాట్లాడగలుగుతారు. ఇచ్చిన టైంలో మనం ఇచ్చిన అంశాల కంటే కూడా చాలా అంశాలని కొరిడీకరించడమే కాకుండా టైం కూడా ఆయన నిబద్ధులు అవుతారు. తర్వాత నాగేశ్వర గారు, అంటే మీకు ఈ స్కోప్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ గురించి కొద్దిసేపు లక్ష్మారెడ్డి గారు కూడా ఒక 15 minutes ప్రజెంటేషన్ ఉంది, మీరు తెలుసుకోవచ్చు. యూ నీడ్ యాక్చువల్లీ యువర్ సర్వీసెస్ అండ్ ఆల్సో యువర్ స్కాలర్షిప్ ఫర్ అస్ ఇన్ ద ఇయర్స్ టు కమ్. ఎందుకంటే ఇంకా 1.5 years ఉంది ఈ ప్రాజెక్ట్ యొక్క టెన్యూర్. ఇప్పుడు ప్రొఫెసర్ లక్ష్మారెడ్డి గారు వేదికపైకి వచ్చి ప్రొఫెసర్ నాగేశ్వర గారికి మా స్కోప్ ప్రాజెక్ట్ తరఫున శాలువాతో సత్కరించవలసిన విజ్ఞప్తి చేస్తున్నాం.
Sir, now you can also interact with the professor. So if you have any doubts, you can. Sir is available now and you can ask.
I think they don't want to get further.
No.
Hello, check.
Yeah. Please. Yeah, sir. Yeah. Now it's the time for you to interact with the Professor Nashwar garu. Because you are going to start your career, no? So you may be having several doubts in your mind.
మన పిల్లలకి స్టార్టింగ్ టప్పుడు ఉంటుంది కాబట్టి నేనే ఒక ప్రశ్న ఇస్తాను సరదాగా. నాగేశ్వర గారు, మీరు అంటే అఫ్ కోర్స్ నేను ఒక ఆర్డెంట్ హిందువుని, ఐ ఫాలో సమ్ ఆఫ్ ద రిచువల్స్, దే ఆర్ నాట్ గోయింగ్ టు బి డేంజరస్ టు ఎనీబడి, బట్ అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం ఐ గాట్ మై ఓన్ కన్విక్షన్స్ అని చెప్పారు. కానీ అట్ ద సేమ్ టైం మనకి ఇండియాలో ఉన్నది ఏంటంటే ఆచరణ లేని అంటే యూ హ్యావ్ టు యాక్ట్ వాట్ యు ప్రెడిక్ట్ అనేది ఒకటి ఉంది కదా, చెప్పేది చేయాలని కూడా ఉంది. అందుకని అంటే చాలాసార్లు మనకు ఒక క్లాష్ వస్తుంది. యాక్చువల్లీ ఐ పర్సనల్లీ ఫీల్ దట్. అండ్ డ్యూరింగ్ మై డాటర్స్ మ్యారేజ్ ఆల్సో ఐ హ్యాడ్ టు గో టు ద పండాల్, ఐ హ్యాడ్ టు డూ లాట్ ఆఫ్ దీస్ థింగ్స్ ఈవెన్ దో ఐఎమ్ ఎన్ ఆర్డెంట్ ఎథిస్ట్. ఆ కాంప్రమైజ్ ఎప్పటికేమంటే కొంతమంది రామచంద్రయ్య బయటకు మాత్రం నిధులు చెప్తాడు, తనకు వచ్చేటప్పటికి అవి పాటించడు అనేటువంటి ఒకటి వస్తుంది కదా. ఆచరణ లేని ఈ మాటలు ఎందుకు అని కూడా అంటుంటారు. అప్పుడు హౌ టు జస్ట్ ఓవర్కమ్ దిస్ క్లాష్?
మీరు అన్నట్లు ఆచరణ ఉండాలి. అందుకే నన్ను అడిగితే మీరు ఎత్తిస్తా అంటే ఏయిస్ట్ కాదని చెప్పాను. ఎందుకు అంటే ప్రపంచంలో 3 అంటే మనకు ఒక వాదం, 2 హేతువాదం, 3 శాస్త్రీయవాదం. ఈ 3 ఒకటే అని చాలామంది అనుకుంటారు. కానీ ఎక్కడ డిఫరెన్స్ అంటే నాస్తికవాదమేమో దేవుడు ఉన్నాడు లేడు అనే అంశం పైన సమాజానికి ప్రత్యక్షంగా ప్రస్తుత సమాజానికి ప్రజల జీవితాలకు ముఖ్యమైన ఛాలెంజ్ను వదిలేసి ఒక తాత్వికమైన ప్రపంచంలో చర్చిస్తూ ఉంటారు. వాళ్ళకి భూమి మీద ఉన్న పేదరికం అవసరం లేదు, నిరుద్యోగం అవసరం లేదు, ఆకలి అవసరం లేదు, అన్యాయం అవసరం లేదు, అణచివేత అవసరం లేదు. అవసరమల్లా దేవుడు ఉన్నాడా లేడా అని. సో ఇది దేవుడు ఉన్నాడు అనేవారు, దేవుడు లేడు అనేవారు కూడా భిన్నమైన దృక్పథాలున్నా అల్టిమేట్గా ఒకే పర్పస్ సర్వ్ చేస్తున్నారు. ఆ పర్పస్ ఏంటంటే ప్రస్తుత ప్రపంచం నుంచి ప్రజల దృష్టిని మళ్ళించడం. ఇక రెండవ వాళ్ళు హేతువాదం. హేతువాది ఏంటంటే ఇర్రేషనాలిటీకి వ్యతిరేకంగా పోరాడతాడు, చాలా అవసరం కూడా. కానీ హేతువాదితో ఉన్న పంచాయతీ ఏంటంటే, నన్ను హేతువా సంఘాలు పిలిస్తే కూడా నేను పోలే. నేను మీతో పంచాయతీ నాకేంటంటే మీరు మూఢనమ్మకాల వరకే చూస్తారు. అండ్ వై డోంట్ యూ టాక్ అబౌట్ ఇర్రేషనాలిటీ ఇన్ సొసైటీ? వై డోంట్ యూ టాక్ అబౌట్ ఇర్రేషనాలిటీ ఇన్ పొలిటికల్ ఎకానమీ? అంటే పొలిటికల్ ఎకానమీలో ఉన్న ఇర్రేషనాలిటీ గురించి, సమాజంలో ఉన్న ఇర్రేషనాలిటీ గురించి, ప్రభుత్వ విధానాలలో ఉండే ఇర్రేషనాలిటీ గురించి ఎక్కడా మాట్లాడకుండా కేవలం విశ్వాసాలలో ఉన్న ఇర్రేషనాలిటీకి మాత్రమే కన్ఫైన్ అయితే అది చాలా చాలా పరిమితమైన పాత్రను మాత్రమే సమాజంలో నిర్వహిస్తుంది. ఇక శాస్త్రీయవాది ఏంటంటే, శాస్త్రీయవాది మూఢనమ్మకాల్ని, మూఢ విశ్వాసాల్ని వ్యతిరేకిస్తాడు. శాస్త్రీయవాది చేసే ఇంకో పని ఏంటంటే యుద్ధ భూమిలో తన శత్రువు ఎవరో స్పష్టంగా అర్థం చేసుకుంటాడు. యుద్ధ భూమిలో అనేక మంది శత్రువులు ఉండొచ్చు, కానీ ప్రధానమైన శత్రువును గుర్తించుతాడు. ఆ ప్రధానమైన శత్రువు ఎవరంటే శాస్త్ర విజ్ఞానాన్ని సమాజ హితానికి కాకుండా, సమాజ పురోగమనానికి కాకుండా, సమాజ తిరోగమనానికి ప్రజలకు వ్యతిరేకంగా మలుస్తూ శాస్త్ర విజ్ఞానం ద్వారా అంధవిశ్వాసాలను ఎదిరించకుండా ఆ అంధవిశ్వాసాల ఆధారంగా తమ ప్రయోజనాలను కాపాడుకునే ఒక వ్యవస్థను పైన పోరాడతాడు. అందువల్ల శాస్త్రీయవాదిగా జరిపే పోరాటం వేరు. మతంతో నాకు పంచాయతీ లేదు, మత ఉన్మాదంతోనే పంచాయతీ. సో మతంతో పంచాయతీ ఏమున్నది? మతం ఎవరి ఇష్టం వారు. నమ్మే వాళ్ళు నమ్ముతారు, నమ్మే వాళ్ళు నమ్మరు. ఈ దృక్పథం తీసుకుంటే మీరు అన్నట్లు ఈ కాన్ఫ్లిక్ట్ రాదు. చెప్పేదానికి చేసేదానికి ఏంటని. ఇప్పుడు విశ్వాసాలు సమాజానికి ఆటంకం కానప్పుడు అందరికీ విశ్వాసాలు ఉంటాయి కదా. విశ్వాసాలు లేనిది ఎవరికి? ఇప్పుడు ఒక మనిషి చనిపోతే ఆ శవపేటికలో శవం తీసుకొచ్చినాక దానిపైన పూల వృక్షాలు ఉంచుతారు, అందరు ఉంచుతారు. నాస్తికులు ఉంచుతారు, ఆస్తికులు ఉంచుతారు. ఎందుకు ఉంచుతారు? మన నాస్తికులు వాళ్ళు మనిషి ఉన్నాడా? చనిపోయాడు కదా, దాంట్లో పూలదండలు వేస్తే ఏం లాభం? అక్కడ నిలబడి సల్యూట్ కొడితే ఏం లాభం? ఏమైనా ఉపయోగం ఉందా? కానీ అది సింబాలిజం, దాంట్లో ఒక నమ్మకం. అప్పుడు ఒక ఫోటో ఉంటుంది, నా ఫోటో ఉంటుంది, లేదా మా నాన్న ఫోటో ఉంటుంది. మా నాన్న ఫోటో పైన నేను కాలు పెట్టి తొక్కగలనా? ఆ ఫోటోలో ఏముంది? మా నాన్న ఉన్నాడా? మా నాన్న లేడు కదా. నా ఫోటో మీద నేను ఉమ్మేయగలనా? ఆ ఫోటోలో నేను లేను కదా. మరి ఎందుకు ప్రాబ్లం? ఎందుకు ఉమ్మేస్తే ఏమవుతుంది? కానీ నేను ఉమ్మేయలేను, ఎందుకంటే సింబాలిజం. అందువల్ల వ్యక్తిగత జీవితానికే పరిమితమై సమాజ వినాశానికి కారణము కాని విశ్వాసాలతో నాకు ఈరోజు పంచాయతీ లేదు. ఈరోజు అండర్లైన్, ఈరోజు పంచాయతీ ఏంటంటే ఏ విశ్వాసాలైతే సమాజ కంటకంగా మారాయో, ఏ విశ్వాసాలైతే మానవాళి ప్రయోజనాలకు వ్యతిరేకంగా మారాయో, ఏ విశ్వాసాలైతే సమాజంలో అసమానతల్ని, అణచివేతల్ని సమర్థించేలా ఉన్నాయో ఆ విశ్వాసాల మీద మాత్రమే పోరాటం. అప్పుడు ఇక ఆచరణకు చెప్పేదానికి చేసేదానికి తేడా ఉన్నదని అర్థం కాదు. అందువల్ల నేను కూడా ఇలాంటి ప్రశ్నలు మీకు తెలియని కావు ఇవన్నీ, కానీ నేను కూడా ఇలాంటి ప్రశ్నలు అనేకం ఎదుర్కొన్న తర్వాత ఆఖరికి నన్ను నేనుగా ఇలా డిఫైన్ చేసుకున్నప్పుడు, నేను డిఫైన్ చేసుకున్న దానికన్నా కూడా ఇతరులు డిఫైన్ చేస్తే నేను చేయగలిగింది ఏం లేదు కదా. నేను ఇలా ఇది అని చెప్తున్నప్పుడు ఇక పంచాయతీ లేదు. అందువల్ల శాస్త్రీయవాదినే తప్ప వేరే ఇండికేషన్తో నాకు సంబంధమే లేదు. ఎందుకంటే దేశంలో కోట్లాది ప్రజల్ని చేరుకోవాలంటే కోట్లాది ప్రజల విశ్వాసాలతో ఘర్షణ పడితే ఆ ప్రజల్ని చేరుకోలేవు. కోట్లాది ప్రజల మనతో ఘర్షణ పడితే ఆ కోట్లాది ప్రజలను నీ శత్రు శిబిరములోకి నీవే పంపిస్తావు. నీ శత్రువు ఏంటి? మూఢనమ్మకాలు నీ శత్రువు. కానీ కోట్లాది ప్రజలకు నమ్మకాలు ఉన్నాయి, కోట్లాది ప్రజలకు విశ్వాసాలు ఉన్నాయి, మంచో చెడో ఉన్నాయి. నీవు శత్రువును సరిగా ఎదుర్కోకపోతే జరిగే ప్రమాదం ఏంటంటే ఈ ఎలాంటి స్వార్థము లేకుండా, ఎలాంటి సమాజ వ్యతిరేక భావన లేకుండా, ఎలాంటి లోకకంటక ఆలోచన లేకుండా కేవలం నమ్మకాన్ని నమ్మకంగా, విశ్వాసాన్ని విశ్వాసంగా మాత్రమే కలిగిన కోట్లాది మందిని నీ శత్రువులైన మూఢ విశ్వాసాల సైన్యంలోకి పంపిస్తావు. అందువల్ల అది వ్యూహాత్మకంగా దాన్ని మించిన బ్లండర్ ఇంకోటి లేదు. అందువల్ల మూఢ విశ్వాసాలు మూఢనమ్మకాలతోనే పంచాయతీ తప్ప నమ్మకాలు విశ్వాసాలతో ఎలాంటి పంచాయతీ లేదు.
అభిప్రాయాన్ని పిల్లలకి తెలియజేసేందుకే మేము ఈ ప్రశ్న వేయడం జరిగింది. మా జన విజ్ఞాన కూడా అదే రకమైనటువంటి వాదన మేము వినిపిస్తుంటాం. అందుకని నాస్తిక సంఘాలన్నీ కూడా కేవలం వ్యక్తులకి పరిమితం అయ్యాయి. దశాబ్దాల తరబడి వాళ్ళు వ్యక్తులుగా మిగిలిపోయారు తప్ప వాళ్ళ మెంబర్షిప్ ఎక్కడ పెరగట్లేదు. కాబట్టి ఒక పిడివాదంతో కానీ వితరణవాదంతో కానీ మన సమాజంలోకి ముందుకు వెళ్ళలేము. ఈ యొక్క అంశం కూడా ముఖ్యంగా కరుగట్టినటువంటి నాస్తికవాదంగా ఉన్నటువంటి కొంతమంది యూత్ ఉన్నారు. వాళ్ళ గురించి ఈ ప్రశ్న వేయడం జరిగింది. తర్వాత ఇంకా ఏమైనా వేరే ప్రశ్నలు?
Hello, sir. This is Srikanth. Sir, you just now told that science today double-edged science power. So, in that, my question is that do humans just need to create only nuclear power and not nuclear bomb?
Well, I did not say that. Nuclear bomb may perhaps be essential to create a nuclear deterrence. That means a bomb, a technology, we need to, if we develop a nuclear bomb technology, so we should also develop a doctrine that we will not be the first to use the nuclear weapons. That is what the India's nuclear doctrine is. We retain our right to develop nuclear weapons along with a voluntary self-imposed nuclear restraint, where we have declared that we are not the first to use nuclear weapons. Not the first to use nuclear weapons. Mastering nuclear know-how with mastering nuclear know-how with nuclear no first use theology, then there is no problem. So we are actually developing this technology not for destruction, but we are actually developing the technology for deterrence. Am I right? What is a virus? What is a vaccine? Vaccine is also a form of virus as far as I know. It is also a virus. కానీ యువర్ బాడీలోకి వైరస్ ఎక్కిస్తున్నావు ఒక రకంగా చెప్పాలంటే. ఎందుకు ఎక్కిస్తున్నావు వైరస్ మరి? అందుకే శ్రీశ్రీ మహాకవి అంటాడు, నా కృషించిపోతున్న రోగిపై జరిపే శస్త్రచికిత్సను హింస అని ఎవరు అనరు అని. ఈ సర్జరీ మరి వైలెన్స్ కాదు, ఆ కత్తిపెట్టి కోస్తున్నాడు కదా. కత్తిపెట్టి కోస్తున్నవాడు సర్జన్. సో ఇది వైలెన్స్ కాదని ఎట్లంటావు? ఇప్పుడు గుండెని ఇట్లా కోస్తాడు మంచిగా నీట్గా. ఈ మధ్య అంటే మినిమం ఇన్వేసివ్ థెరపీలు వచ్చాయి, అప్పుడు కూడా రంధ్రాలు పొడుస్తున్నాడు. సో నువ్వు అన్యాయంగా నాలో రంధ్రం పొడుస్తున్నావు, నువ్వు చాలా హింసావాది అని మర్డర్ కేసు పెడతారు ఆ కార్డియాలజిస్ట్ పైన. సో అందువల్ల ద పర్పస్ ఈజ్ మోర్ ఇంపార్టెంట్. సో ఎవడన్నా వెళ్ళి మొత్తం సర్జరీ అయినాక బైపాస్ అయినాక వెళ్ళి మర్డర్ కేసు పెట్టింటాడు కార్డియాలజిస్ట్ పైన, నా మీద కత్తితో పొడిచాడు అని. వైలెంట్ అసాల్ట్ ఇండియన్ పీనల్ కోడ్ ప్రకారం నేరం అన్నామనుకో. సో therefore that is the reason a scientist, a student of science should also know philosophy. A student of science should also know social sciences. I was a member of the legislative committee that studied the engineering education in United Andhra Pradesh. I was vehemently arguing to include social sciences in engineering, because otherwise you create a class of technocrats who have no link with the world around you. Because the engineer is a person who creates a world which was never in existence. So ultimately, engineering should also have a social outlook. There's a social context for engineering education. Unfortunately, nobody bothered about our arguments. That is a different story altogether. Yeah.
Any last? Yeah. So if any more questions we take after Q&A, just please available. Last question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sir, nowadays we are looking like that some news channels are supporting only like few channels. For example, X channel is supporting X party and Y channel is supporting Y party and X channel is opposing Y party. Sir, it's indirectly like manipulating people, showing the, it may be the fake news, but it's only one side news, right? And how can we curb that? And it's also like killing soul of media and journalism. And second question is, sir, how to overcome political fear for journalists? Like there are few journalists who are like getting fear from pulling out the like truths and facts of some political parties or some political
Well,
people.
you have a question, but which has nothing to do with the workshop. My fear is that, but still I will briefly answer. But journalists are not fearing politicians. They seek favors from politicians. So don't think that journalists are really scared of politicians. So that's not true. The truth is they're seeking favors. Any profession, if you want to be a doctor and you're scared of blood, can you be a doctor? So similarly, a traffic constable is vulnerable to dust allergy. Similarly, a doctor is vulnerable to hepatitis B. You should take precaution. But you just because a journalist can face some vulnerabilities, run away from your profession. Then you talked about the media, which is, well, that is the political economy of media. Media is also owned by forces, market forces. So when media is a multi-crore industry, there are people who own it, and these owners have political links, and they obviously peddle the politically biased news. So what is the solution is have your own news channel. Technology has democratized the idea space. Na cinema nene hero nu. If I want to write, if no newspaper publishes, I will publish in my own blog. If I want to tell, I will only tell. If nobody is there, I'll tell in my own YouTube channel. So today, I will just post it on my Facebook page. I'll post it in my Insta. So the digital technology has democratized the digital space, and you have an opportunity to reach crores of people. I reached last month, October, I had 93 lakh views. 93 lakh. In the last 4 days alone, I have reached out to 1.7 lakh views. There are 7,40,000 subscribers. 7,40,000. So I wanted to speak on Keynesian economics. Which news channel will have a debate on Keynesian economics? And I want to speak on the falling value of rupee. No, I talked to 3-4 channels. Nobody bothered. I spoke on my own YouTube channel. So I wanted to speak on a topic. When Liz Truss proposed tax cuts, media hailed her, Conservative Party hailed her, corporate UK hailed her. When she implemented the tax cuts, everybody cursed her and she lost her job. Why? So this is a fundamental question. The corporate UK is not against tax cuts. Conservative Party is not against tax cuts. But they wanted tax cuts to be funded by either reduction in public expenditure or these tax cuts should be funded by taxing people more. She did not do the two things. So then it was branded as unfunded tax cuts and she has to lose her job. I wanted to speak on this political economy of UK politics, UK leadership change. I spoke to 4 TV channels. Sorry, they were sir. ఇంత సంక్లిష్టమైన అర్థమవుతుందా సార్? మాకే అర్థమవుతలేదు. మాకు ఈ లోపల అయ్యన్న పాత్రుడు ఉన్నాడు సార్, మా కూడా మాది సార్, మా పంచాయతీ మాకు పైలట్ రోహిత్ రెడ్డి ఉన్నాడు సార్ అంటే నాకే అభ్యంతరం. నేను కూడా పైలట్ రోహిత్ రెడ్డి గురించి మాట్లాడినా, అయ్యన్న పాత్ర గురించి కూడా మాట్లాడకూడదు కాదు. కానీ అదే సమయంలో ఐ స్పోక్ ఇన్ మై యూట్యూబ్ ఛానల్, over 70,000 people watched it. Forget about TV channels. So did I wait for them to do that? So you also develop your own media and start speaking on science, start speaking on many things where you want to express, because the freedom of expression is a constitutional guarantee. అది మీరు అనొచ్చు సార్ భయపెట్టరా, భయపెడతారు, భయపడవని ఎప్పుడు భయపెడతారు. జీనా హైతో మరణా సిక్కు అంతే, అందువల్ల ఏం లేదు. అందువల్ల నువ్వు ఏం చేస్తావు, ఎప్పుడు భయపడుతూనే ఉంటారు మనుషులు. భయపడి రోడ్డు మీద పోయేటప్పుడు యాక్సిడెంట్ అయితే భయపడతా, బండి నడుపుతావా? అమ్మో యాక్సిడెంట్ అవుతుందేమో, ఎవడు వస్తాడేమో, ఎవడో వస్తాడు, వచ్చినప్పుడు గుద్దుతాడు, హాస్పిటల్ పడతాం, పోతాం. సో 2 నెలలు లాస్ట్ ఇయర్ నాకు ఫోన్ చేసి నిన్ను ముక్కలు నరుకుతారా ఏమనుకున్నావు అన్నాడు. ఎన్ని ముక్కలు అని అడిగిన, ఎందుకంటే నరికిన తర్వాత నాకు తెలియదు కదా ఎన్ని ముక్కలు. ఐఎమ్ క్యూరియస్, ఇప్పుడే ముందే తెలుసుకోవాలనుకుంటున్నా ఎన్ని ముక్కలు అని. అంటే ఎప్పుడు నరుకుతావు చెప్పు, నేను రెడీగా ఉంటా అన్నా. ఆయన ఆన్సర్ లేదు వాడికి. ఏమైంది, జాగ్రత్తలు తీసుకున్నాం అని చెప్పి రోడ్డు మీదకి వెళ్ళి నరుకురా అన్నటానికి నేనేం ప్రకాశం మంత్రులు కాదు. సో ఆ జాగ్రత్తలు తీసుకుంటాం, కానీ అదే సమయంలో ఏం చేయగలం? సో జీవితంలో భయపడేవాడు రోజు చస్తాడు, ధైర్యంగా ఉన్నవాడు ఒక్కటేసారి చస్తాడు.
లాస్ట్ క్వశ్చన్ సార్.
You have one.
మత విశ్వాసాలు ఉన్నాయని చెప్పారు కదా, అంటే దేవుని నమ్ముతున్నట్ట?
ఇప్పుడు అది ఈ స్కోప్ లో ఉన్న స్కోపా
అంటే మత విశ్వాసంలో ఉన్న
ఇప్పుడు అది ఇప్పుడు నేను అదే ఇంతదాకా చెప్పింది. నేను చెప్పింది ఏంటి, దేవుణ్ణి నమ్మడము నమ్మకపోవడము అనేది నీ వ్యక్తిగత జీవితానికి సంబంధించిన అంశం. నీ వచ్చి కావాలంటే నా ఇంట్లో ఉండు, నేను ఏం చేస్తానో నీకు తెలుస్తుంది. కానీ పబ్లిక్ గా నాకు చెప్పుకోవాల్సిన అవసరము లేదు, నాకేం దాని పేరు మీద ఓట్లు అడుక్కోవాల్సిన కర్మ లేదు, అవునా కదా? అందువల్ల నేను దేవుణ్ణి నమ్మడము నమ్మకపోవడం అనేది నా క్లాస్లో మోర్ స్టూడెంట్స్ని అట్రాక్ట్ చేస్తానికి సాధనం కాదు, నా వెహికల్లో ఓట్లకు సాధనం కాదు. అలాంటప్పుడు నా వ్యక్తిగత జీవితంలో ఏంటి, నేను ఏ కలర్ బనియన్ వేసుకున్నాను నువ్వు అడుగుతున్నా, నేను చెప్తానా? దట్ ఈస్ మై అండర్ గార్మెంట్, ఐ హ్యావ్ ప్రైవసీ, ఐ యామ్ రైట్. I don't reveal my undergarment to you. నీకెందుకు అంట, అవునా కదా? నేను ఏ కలర్ వేసుకున్నా బనియన్ వేసుకుని నీకేందా అంట. సో as long as it protects me from sweat, that is enough కదా అని.
అంటే మీ వరకు మత విశ్వాసం అంటే ఏంటనేది,
మత విశ్వాసం అంటే ఏంటంటే ఆ మతం నుంచి మంచి నేర్చుకున్నాము. నేను రేపు ఒక వీడియో పెట్టాను చూడండి, సీతమ్మ తల్లి సందేశం భారత రాజకీయాలకని. ఏంటి ఆ సందేశము? హనుమంతుడు వెళ్ళి సీతమ్మ తల్లిని అడుగుతాడు, తల్లి నువ్వు నా భుజం మీద ఎక్కి నిన్ను రాముల వారి దగ్గరికి తీసుకెళ్తాను అంటాడు. అంటే ఆ తల్లి ఏమంటే తెలుసా, మల్ల రామాయణం చదవండి, అద్భుతమైన పద్యం ఉంది. దొంగతనము చేసి రావణుడు నన్ను ఇక్కడికి తీసుకొచ్చాడు, వాడు రాక్షసుడు, దొరైన నా రాముడు నన్ను దొంగతనంగా తీసుకుపోకూడదు అంటది. అంటే ఏంటది? ఎండ్స్ డు నాట్ డిటర్మైన్ మీన్స్, లక్ష్యం తక్షణం రాముడి దగ్గరికి చేరుకోవడం ఆమె లక్ష్యం. కానీ ఆమె ఏ మార్గం ఎంచుకుంది? నా రాముడు రావలను, దైత్యుణ్ణి శిక్షించవలను, నన్ను తీసుకుని పోవలను అంటది. కానీ ఇదే ఛాన్స్, దొరికిందే ఛాన్స్ అని లిఫ్ట్ వచ్చింది కదా అని వెళ్ళిపోలే. అంటే రాజకీయాల్లో ఎమ్మెల్యేలకు కొని డబ్బులు ఖర్చు పెట్టి అధికారంలోకి రావడం కాదు, ప్రజల మెప్పును పొంది అధికారంలోకి రావడం అనేది రామాయణ సందేశం, నా సందేశం కాదు. సో నిజమైన మత భక్తుడు ఎవరు అంటే రామాయణంలోని ఈ గొప్ప సందేశాన్ని రాజకీయాల్లో కూడా అన్వయించడం. కర్ణుడు యుద్ధంలో కురుక్షేత్రానికి రాయబారం తర్వాత శ్రీకృష్ణుడు చెప్తాడు, నీ జీవన వృత్తాంతం ఇది, నీవు గనక పార్టీ ఫిరాయిస్తే నీవు అంగరాజ్యానికే రాజు కాదు, దుర్యోధన ప్రాప్తి కూడు తింటూ బతకాల్సిన అవసరం లేదు, ఈ సర్వం సహా మహాసామ్రాజ్యానికి చక్రవర్తి అవుతావు, ద్రౌపది నిన్ను 6వ భర్తగా స్వీకరిస్తుంది అంటాడు. ఇప్పుడైతే వెంటనే పార్టీ ఫిరాయించుతాడు. కానీ కర్ణుడు ఏమన్నాడు? జీవితకాలం నేను విలువలతోనే జీవించాను. స్నేహబంధానికి ప్రతీకగా నిలిచాను. నా ధర్మాన్ని నిర్వర్తిస్తాను. కానీ నా వ్యక్తిగత సుఖాల కొరకు నేను ఈ క్షణం పార్టీ ఫిరాయించి చరిత్రహీనుడుగా నిలబడదలుచుకోలేదు అన్నాడు. కానీ ఇవాళ రాజకీయాల్లో చరిత్రహీనులే మెజారిటీ. ఇదయ్యా నువ్వు రామాయణ మహాభారతాల్ని ఇంటర్నలైజ్ చేసుకుంటే, ఇదయ్యా రామాయణ మహాభారతాలలోని అద్భుత సందేశాన్ని మన జీవితాలకు అన్వయించుకోవడం అనేది కీలకం తప్ప ఉదాహరణకు ఓ ప్రవచనకర్త చెప్పింది విన్నాను. మీరు ఒక ఆసుపత్రికి వెళ్తారు, డాక్టర్ని కలుస్తారు, డాక్టర్ మందులు ఇస్తాడు. ఆ మందుల చీటీ తీసుకొని నువ్వు ఏం చేస్తావు? షుగర్ ఉందయ్యా, మెట్మార్ఫిన్ ఉదయం 500 mg, ఈవినింగ్ 500 mg. నీకు బీపీ కూడా ఉంది, ఈకోస్పిన్ 45 mg. అంటే నువ్వేం చేస్తావు అంటే మెట్మార్ఫిన్ 500 mg మార్నింగ్, మెట్మార్ఫిన్ 500 mg ఈవినింగ్, మెట్మార్ఫిన్ 500 mg, మెట్మార్ఫిన్ 500 mg, ఈకోస్పిన్ 45 mg అని బట్టి ఆ డయాబెటీస్ తగ్గుతుందా? అందువల్ల రామాయణ మహాభారతాల్ని వల్లించడం కాదు, రామాయణ మహాభారతాల్ని పైన వేసుకొని అలంకరణ కాదు, ఆ గొప్ప గ్రంథాలలో ఉన్న మానవీయ విలువల్ని ఆధునిక కాలానికి ఉపయోగపడే వాటిని అన్వయించుకొని జీవితాన్ని సంస్కరించుకోవడం, సమాజాన్ని సంస్కరించుకోవడం, రాజకీయ వ్యవస్థను సంస్కరించుకోవడం అనేది నిజమైన మత విశ్వాసం అని నేను నమ్ముతాను.
థ్యాంక్ యూ ప్రొఫెసర్ నాగేశ్వర్ గారు, ఎక్సలెంట్ వివరణ ఇచ్చారు. మీరందరికీ చాలా ఉపయోగపడింది అనుకుంటున్నాను. నౌ విల్ బ్రేక్ ఫర్ టీ సార్.
రామచంద్రయ్య గారు సామరస్యం గురించి చెప్పాడు, చాలా కరెక్ట్. అది విష్ణు పురాణంలో కథ ఉంటుంది. ఒక బాటసారి అడవిలో వెళ్తుంటాడు, వర్షం పడుతుంటది, చుట్టూ చూస్తే ఒక గది కనబడుతుంది. ఆయన వెళ్ళి పండుకుంటాడు. రెండో వ్యక్తి అటువైపుగా వెళ్తాడు, తలుపు కొడతాడు. మొదటి వ్యక్తి అంటాడు, ఇది ఒక్కరికైతే నిద్రపోవచ్చు, ఇద్దరం అయితే కూర్చోవచ్చు, నువ్వు కూడా రా కూర్చొని తల దాచుకుంటామంటాడు. ఈ లోపల మూడో వ్యక్తి వెళ్తుంటాడు అటువైపు. మళ్ళీ మూడో వ్యక్తి వెళ్ళి తలుపు కొడతాడు. అప్పుడు మొదటి ఇద్దరు ఏమంటారంటే, ఒక్కరైతే పడుకోవచ్చు, ఇద్దరైతే కూర్చోవచ్చు, ముగ్గురైతే తల దాచుకోవచ్చు, నువ్వు కూడా రా లోపలికి అంటాడు. అది భారతీయ సంస్కృతి అంటే, అది విష్ణుపానం చెప్పిన సామరస్యం. దీన్ని ఫాలో అయిదామా, దేన్ని ఫాలో అయిదామా మీరు ఆలోచించుకోండి. థ్యాంక్ యూ వెరీ మచ్.
Okay, we will break for tea, 10 minutes. Tea is arranged and again we reassemble. Okay, thank you very much.